The story of a frustrated wife. My name is Olusegun Mokuolu. Some time ago, a woman in Lagos, Nigeria, she reached out to me, and I'm sharing this story with her consent. And she expressed frustration in her marriage. It was a very terrible and bad marriage. She believed she gave it her best, but nothing was working. She was on the verge of quitting the marriage. She had suffered emotional abuse. She had suffered physical abuse. She had suffered all manner of abuse. She was also not a saint in the fact that she also gave back to the husband in the best way she knows how to give it back. Sometimes they both get physical in the process. So she was really tired. She was down to earth. Nothing was working. And she was contemplating quitting the marriage. So she reached out. And then we got talking. And I told her that the first problem is that you being a born again child of God ended up marrying a man that is not born again. However, hope is not lost. If you will simply do what God is asking you to do, that marriage, you will see the hand of God. So I told her, the next time your husband speaks against you, abuse you, call you names, shout at you, don't do anything. Do what God says you should do in Exodus chapter 14 and verse 14. And I read that passage to her. Let me read that passage. It says, the Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. So I told her, I said, the problem is that you have been fighting back. Hands over to God. Let God take charge. I know it may look in the beginning like, oh, you are losing, but I'm telling you, with God, you can't lose. So she had. The following day, problem happened again. It was early in the morning. The husband shouted at her, called her names, pigs, and so on. Unlike her usual self, she did not respond. When the man finished shouting, saying all kinds of things, she apologized and immediately began to fix all the issue the man had problem with. And when she was done, she went to her room, either to read the Bible or something like that. And when the man was dressed to go to work, the man came back to the room and said he is going to work. And she said, all right, safe trip. The man got to the car outside and then returned back and said, oh dear, you didn't give me a hug. She was shocked. Husband asking for a hug. She was shocked. So he gave a hug. When the guy got to the car, he came back to the house and said, won't you give me a peck? She gave a peck. Now, usually when he gets to the office, he doesn't call the wife until he returns back home. But that day, she said, the man called her. How are you? How is the house? How is everything? She was surprised. Then again, she said, this man does not give her money to do things. He will go and do it by himself. But at that day, that man transferred substantial amount. She mentioned the figure. I just didn't want to mention it to her. She was surprised and said, please go and get some things for the house and so on. She was again surprised. And then in the evening, she did a selfie and sent it to me. It was her having a nice time because the husband had bought certain things for them to just have a nice time in the evening. It was like we were watching a drama unfolding. And then she continued like that. She would spend time reading her Bible. She wouldn't complain. She won't fight the husband. At a point, the husband said he is becoming afraid of her. But she said, I'm not doing anything against you. You see, that is what Jesus can do. What I just told you now is a true life story. It's a true life story. The wife, the woman involved, she's alive and she can testify to what I've just said. She couldn't believe it. She was crying. She said, so, sir, all this while, I have been fighting for myself and I got nothing. And just one day, I allow God to take charge and look at the great difference that he has made in my marriage. You see, hand it over to God. Hand it over to Jesus. Don't believe these lies, thinking that, oh, God will not do anything. God is not blind, neither is hand short, nor is hair heavy that he cannot hear you. But like he said, you will hold your peace. That means you have to trust him. You have to trust God. You can trust God with that marriage if you genuinely, sincerely come to him. You know, this lady acknowledged that she made a mistake because she shouldn't have married such a man in the first place. But notwithstanding, God is merciful and God rescued that marriage. God can also rescue your marriage if you will allow him to rescue that marriage. I am Olusegun Mokuolu. God bless you.